They call him King Henry, the NFL's most intimidating running back. Derrick Henry, the man who was birthed with a stiff arm from God himself. He has set the league ablaze, leading the Tennessee Titans in a mission of unfinished business in 2020. But for every king, there must be a king's guard. The men who swear fealty to the protection and advancement of their king no matter the cost. Men who have a specific set of skills. Men who work a thankless role for the glory of their team. This is why, today, we take a look at that group of men who reside in the trenches for the Titans. It's time to break down some O-line film from the Titans' Week 7 matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I present to you the starting lineup for the Tennessee Titans. At left tackle, Ty Sembrano. At left guard, Roger Saffold III. At center, Ben Jones. At right guard, Nate Davis. And at right tackle, Dennis Kelly. All right, so we're going to start this off with the first series for the Titans. As always, we're going to identify the front. The Pittsburgh Steelers are obviously running a 3-4 defense. You've got your 3 down linemen, you've got 4 linebackers, but teams will sometimes just identify 4 down linemen and turn this into a 4-3 style defense. With the Titans here, looks like they're going to have a motion from their tight end back into the formation, 2 tight ends at the bottom of your screen, and they're going to be running an inside zone to the left. Now, with this inside zone, we're going to check it out from the end zone and see how the blocking is handled by the O-line here. They pick up some yards, but there's also a penalty, which is going to be a common theme for issues that the Titans had in this game. But we're going to look here with our called linebacker in this formation. It's going to be that linebacker right there in front of the goalpost. Can't get his number. But versus a 3-4, on the left side, you're generally going to have a fan on these zone plays where the guard and the tackle will take on the outside backer and the D-end. And as with many inside zones, the center and the guard are going to be working together. That's the center and the right guard here. They're going to be working up to that called backer. Now, the way that this is handled mostly by teams against 3-4s is that guard is going to shove that nose across the center's face to get up to that backer. And the same thing's going to happen here with the tackle and the tight end on the right. The tackle is going to be reaching that end, and the tight end is going to shove him across the tackle's face so that he can get up to the backer. Now here, these guys actually do a pretty good job of this, and that opens up a whole two-way go for Derrick Henry, if you will, from either the center and the right guard or the tackle and the tight end. He chooses to take that C gap and actually picks up 5 yards, but this is going to be called back because of a holding call, and that pretty much dooms the start of their drive for the Titans. Now we're moving along to the 3rd down play, which is 3rd and 16. We have a nickel look here, got 4 down linemen, as you can see right here on the screen. We've got 2 nickel backers in the box, in the formation here. So this is a more conventional look from the Steelers. Let's wait and see how this end zone cut looks to see what kind of protection we get here from the Titans on this play. Now, as with all long down and distance, you want to have an alertness for any kind of weird looks. In this, we get a conventional rush. It's a good pocket setup initially. Now, I don't really love the way the right guard has got his block here. He's already turned to the sideline, and you have a 3 technique. You really are the shortest route to the quarterback here. And there actually is a little bit of pressure put on Tannehill because of that rush. You've got to get your set more lateral. You've got to get over the top of that defender, and you've got to use your punch to keep him extended away from you. To make sure that you can get the best kind of pass protection possible there. Now, with situational football in mind, we're going to go from the first drive of the game, which is where you want to set your tempo, to the drive before the half, which is where you want to make points up, especially when you're behind late in the half. Now, on this play, this is going to be an outside zone to the right from the Titans. We've got our 4 down linemen identified, so we know as an offensive line who we're going to be blocking. Now we just need to identify who we're going to be going up to from the center's call. But here you can see the Pittsburgh Steelers are basically in a 4-3 defense. They make it look like a 3-4, but it's really a 4-3, even though they've got a stand-up DN with TJ Watt over there on the left side of the Pittsburgh formation. Now here they try to do something tricky on the backside, bringing a backer on a dog blitz, but they don't even really need it because this is a really piss poor job by the right tackle. Now let's look at our call backer here. I would call 98 as my call backer because I'm going to look at 41 and see him as a safety. I'm not going to count him in this box count, but 48 is actually going to try and dog stunt through the line. Now you're going to see the center here make a motion to his line, most likely something to the notion of full zone, which we called fuzz when I was in Jacksonville. That means the entire backside of the line needs to just zone and pick up any threat that comes into your gap. Now on the front side of this, your right guard and your center are going to be working the same way they did in the other play, knocking the guy across the face, working up to your backer. But our right tackle here is really the big problem. He completely overreaches for this block. He's standing almost straight up when he comes off the line. TJ Watt reads this and just makes a move to the inside. He actually disavows his entire responsibility and makes his play, which is really something that's very impressive from him, but just a bad job by our right tackle. So another error from the Titans, and that leads us to 2nd and 14 after that 4-yard loss on the run. Now on this play here, once again, after the motion, we identify our 4th down. You've got 2 stand-up guys on the outside, but we will just count them as down linemen, and we'll count the 3 nickel players in the box as the linebackers. Now, again, here's another kind of weird move by the Steelers, which they show a lot of this in the course of this game. Just these random blitzes where they send guys firing into gaps to try and disrupt the spacing and disrupt the zone moves of the Titans. Now our call linebackers 98, and what we're going to have here is a power play from the Titans. Now again, you guys know me and power. This is God's play. What you're going to have here is a double team with our right guard and our right tackle, and that double team is going to have eyes for anything coming off the backside. Everybody's going to be blocking back with their puller coming off of the double team. Now it is paramount that you do not have penetration on a power play. And in this play, 41 is going to make a move to blitz into the gap. The tackle does a good job of coming down and flattening that out. Our guard is going to be pulling, our left guard is going to be pulling to the right. He's going to be coming off that double team. And with that pull, he wants to make sure he gets into the line and he's taking the block inside out on his backer. Now on our double team here, I think the right guard did a good job of picking up 41 late. And our guard actually does a good job of getting to a spot, but he's a little bit off on his contact. As you can see, he should be inside out there, not outside in. But he does get enough contact to give Derrick Henry an opportunity to find a crease and to pick up some decent yardage here. Picks up about 5 or 6 yards here, but it's a good run. It's well blocked, not perfect, but we'll take it. Okay, so this play here is 3rd down, and this is an important play for a number of different reasons. One, the Titans are backed up on their own side of the field. They also are in a 2-minute situation, and they're down 10 points in the game. So this is an obvious passing situation. So you want to be aware for a number of different things that can happen here. You've got your down linemen identified. You've got your linebackers identified. But there's something that you're going to see on the end zone cut that I actually want to explain in a little bit more detail so that you can understand how these kind of things can work in the NFL and how the Steelers have shown to be a very crafty defense in doing this. So here we are, end zone cut, and what you're going to see here is something that appears to be a potential 5-down look for the offensive line. Now, 54 is lined up as if he's going to rush. So I wouldn't blame an offensive line for saying 5 down, which puts 1 lineman on 1 defender all the way across, 1-on-1, 5-on-5. But what you have to pay attention to here is that 54 is actually covering the running back. He's only going to blitz if the running back stays in. Now, along with that, you also have to be aware of games. That's what you're going to get from the defensive tackles here. They're going to run a game, and it's actually passed off very well by the left guard and center. Now, I don't like the right tackle's pass sets. I watched him throughout this game. His pass sets were usually very soft, very inconsistent. Now, he does give up pressures on Tannehill a number of times in this game because of that, but that was an incomplete pass, and that ends the half for the Titans. Decent pass protection, not great by our right tackle. All right, now this is the start of the third quarter, and like the start of the game, the Titans have a negative play, the same way they had a penalty on their first play in the first quarter. They're going to give up a sack here on their first play in the third quarter. These are things that keep you from winning games in the NFL. These are these small things that play in to keeping you from being successful on critical drives like the opening drive of the game and the opening drive of the half. Now this play here is a play action pass, which when you're running a play action, you do have to give some kind of sell on the D line. And again, our right tackle here is the suspect in this play. Now you got to understand something here. When you're running play action, the worst thing you can do is give up ground. You don't want to give up a ton of ground because your quarterback is going to be setting up at a certain point, and he's not going to have his eyes down the field until he's completed his play action. Now on this, you're going to be getting both of the outside rushers coming off the edge, and this means that if you're at right tackle, you need to come out and have an aggressive posture because the line is going to be moving to the right here, and the fullback is going to be blocking the rusher off the edge on the left. Now when they come off the ball and the ball is snapped, our right tackle, he's giving up way too much ground. His running back can't even really give a chip because he can't even sell his fake, because he has to get over to that color that he sees to try and help the tackle. The tackle's already behind himself. He stepped under himself. He's really a little bit off balance, and he gets kind of swept by his own chip, and that gives TJ Watt another big play in the backfield, getting the sack on Tannehill. Now here we have another 3rd and long situation, same as we saw in the beginning of the game for the Titans. It's 3rd and 16, and now they're going to get the funny stuff. You got 3 defensive linemen aligned wide to the right, and you've got 1 D lineman down at the bottom, TJ Watt, over the right tackle. Now they have 1 linebacker in this nickel front, so they're clearly just going to be trying to get a rush here with their linebackers and nickels and DBs playing coverage here. Now this looks like it's going to be a good pocket for Tannehill to throw out of. He doesn't have a back there, so the O-line has to make sure they do a good job of setting the depth and setting the width. Little bit of press from the edges late in that pass protection, but overall I thought this was decent enough protection. Now you have to watch out for the funny stuff here. You've got 3 guys lined up to one side like this. You got all this space on the right side with nobody in it. Well, that space can't stay empty forever, can it? So you got to be alert for games here. You got to be alert for some kind of trick'em-dick'em from the Steelers. They're pretty crafty, as you've seen throughout this video. And here we're going to get a little bit of a rail from our 3 technique back over to the right side. The pocket is strong though. And one thing that's really impressive here to me is the running back. The running back does a good job of blocking on this outside rush, but even though he's blocking, he's going to get out on a route. So the O-line has to be ready to take that up. Now, I do think there's a little bit too much ground given up here by our left guard, but he does do a good job of sitting down and doing what he can to keep from giving up any more pressure. He's got a good base. He does get pushed back into Tannehill at the end, but overall, I thought it was a good enough protection to get a good throw off. Now here we are late in the game. This is another situation where there has to be a keen awareness by the offense in order to give themselves the best chance to be successful here. The Titans are trying to make a comeback. They're trying to get in the end zone, and really they're faced with a pretty basic front from the Steelers. You've got 4 down, you've got 1 linebacker in the box, and they're really playing coverage more so than trying to provide any kind of pressure. And this is a situation that you really just can't have happen. You're going to see it from the end zone. This falls squarely on the right guard and right tackle. The right side of the line having some issues here for the Titans. Now, again, this is a passing situation. This is an obvious pass. We've got our called linebacker at 54, but you have to be aware for games if you're an offensive lineman. Look at how wide TJ Watt is lined up. That is not normal. That is not how he lines up on a normal basis. He's got his arm back. He is going to run a game, and this is what they do. The right guard and right tackle should be setting vertical. They should be setting on the same level on a vertical edge so that they can pass this game while being on the same level and not being, split by any of the defenders. Now, what you have here is TJ Watt as a penetrator, and that's what he does. He penetrates into the offensive line this pretty much leaves the right guard out to dry. Our right tackle is pretty much destroyed this play, for lack of a better word, and Tannehill is forced to throw it away, which ends up being an intentional grounding call, which pushes them back to 2nd and 20. This is very bad situational awareness by our right guard and right tackle. All right, so this is the last meaningful play for the offense. Again, this is another situation where you have a different look from the Steelers. They've got 2 wide 3 techniques with their defensive ends on the outside of that. You've got a linebacker in who's actually guarding the running back here. Now, this is another thing that the Steelers do, and you really will see this around the NFL a lot more these days. Their linebacker will add on and blitz if the running back stays in to block. So let's look at this from the end zone. And again, guys, this is something that you're going to hear me say a lot when dealing with the offensive line. When you're in these kind of situations, you must be aware of different kinds of defensive line stunts and games. They're going to try to get you on different levels. They're going to try to split blockers so that they can get a straight line run at the quarterback. And here we have a little something like that. Doesn't really work. TJ Watt tries to spin inside while he has a wide rushing 3 technique, and that doesn't get him into the pocket at all. But we also have 54 adding on, trying to blitz here. So the offensive line actually does a really good job of holding their protection here. It doesn't always look pretty, but they got the job done. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below. Make sure you hit that like button if you like this video, and subscribe to the Observant Lineman Uche Nwaneri if you haven't already done so. Really appreciate you guys for checking out this breakdown of the O-line for the Titans in their game against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 7. Hope you guys have a good one, and we will catch you on the next video. Peace.